everybody so much for joining today. Let me get my presentation up so I can actually see it. Let me tell you a little bit about me. My name is Bill Moore. I've been in restaurants since 1946. I'm sorry, 46 years, since 1977. Not quite that old. So I've been doing this 46 years. I worked for all those different chains you see listed up there, either as a manager, general manager, or the training manager. I worked in the corporate offices. I would be the guy that would come around and make all the employees and management upset because I'd have that little clipboard going, hey, you're not going fast enough. I also have had some form of street vending since 1981. Started with a hot dog trailer, eventually worked into having a little sunset cruise like you see there. And then we did a bigger hot dog trailer, did hot dog carts, and I had my own restaurant. That's the Philly station there at the end of that list. And of course, I've written 4 different books on street vending as well. So that's a little bit about me. The last several weeks, we have been doing Food Truck 101, putting the food truck puzzle together because there are a certain number of pieces that everyone needs to do. We talked about the legal things, the numbers, as far as your break-even point, your food costs, understanding your profit and loss statement. We talked about the different partners, which are suppliers and commissaries and all the people that help support your business. We talked about different revenue streams. We talked about the equipment and the workflow on the equipment. Talked about marketing. We talked about writing a business plan. And now we're up to the coaching section. And I'd like you guys to think about anybody you've ever talked to about a food truck, food trailer, hot dog cart, anybody that has said, you're going to fail. Or if you talk to someone when you bought your trailer and they said, this man, I'm getting out of this business. It sucks. Here's my trailer. And they're going to charge you a big bunch of money for it, probably more than it was worth. But people have stories about vendors and why they fail. And of course I do too. Part of what I do and what I've done in the past is whenever there's a new vendor in our area, back when I was vending full time, I had a business card, just had my name on it, nothing else. And the business card I would produce when a new vendor came into town. They're setting up, I'd go up to them. I'm trying to visit them on the very first day open. So they're super excited, probably a little disorganized. And I just ask them, how you doing? Introduce myself as just who I am. Didn't tell them I worked in restaurants, have a competing business, and certainly didn't tell them I'm here to help train you. But I give them my business card and I would say, if you ever run into trouble, I will be happy to buy your equipment, lock, stock, and barrel. So what that does is a couple of things. It gives them a safety net. So now they're going to be a little bit more reckless. And then they're also thinking, well, this guy said he'd buy me out, so now I ain't got to worry. So now they're not as good at being a food vendor unless they're committed to it, unless they really, really want to do the business. And those opportunities, those business cards, led to me being able to buy a bunch of equipment and then turning it around and cleaning it up really, really well, polishing the apple and then flipping that equipment. And I would always hear their stories. This is why I failed. And they would list off 2 or 3 reasons. And here's what I found over the course of the last 30 some years when I've been buying equipment or when I've been working with people to help them run their businesses. 26% of the people that I talked to when I bought equipment or that I was working with to help them fix their business. So over a quarter of the people I've worked with said they didn't completely understand the rules and regulations that are set up by the health department and the local government. And you see this in our Facebook group all the time. There's a whole bunch of people that are saying, hey, what's the first thing to do? And most of our members will say you need to talk to the health department. You need to talk to whoever is going to give you a license and find out what those rules and regulations are. But 26% of the people didn't understand them. Didn't understand that, hey, you need more than just a business license. You got to be able to sell food, so you need a food license. You got to be able to collect taxes, so you got to have that tax permit. You may have an occupational permit. And what an occupational permit is it's saying, I'm doing business in this county or in this city. You're occupying space within the jurisdiction, so they want to know about you. There's lots of rules and regulations out there, and they do vary. I know you guys probably get tired of seeing us write that, but there are literally over 3,000 different combinations of rules and regulations across the country. A lot of them are very similar. but there's always just enough different that we can't say somebody from California to follow Florida's rules, because it ain't going to work. 23%, so almost a quarter of the people, told me they did not use social media. And then even back before social media was a thing, they told me they didn't market. They didn't let people know they existed. You know, you talk about the proverb of keeping your light under a bushel where no one can see it. It doesn't help anybody. If you don't let people know you exist, they're not going to come buy food from you. As much as a lot of cynical people on Facebook groups, not including ours, are saying that a food truck is a people magnet and people should be paying us to go park on their property, that is not the truth. If food trucks were a people magnet, why do any of these groups exist? All you got to do is buy a food truck, open up the window, and there you go. It's a people magnet. But it's not. It's not a people magnet. So you got to take the time to let people know you exist physically. That's what marketing is, physically letting them know you exist, and then electronically letting them know you exist, and that's social media. And you have to do those things. And we've talked about that in the marketing section. Social media is it can be a lifesaver. It can really make a big difference in your business, but it's not a one-way street. There's got to be content that's engaging, and then you got to talk to people. You got to answer questions. You got to really kind of stick your nose almost in comment sections when people are talking about your food. You've got to have that conversation. 19% of the people that I bought a food truck from or a food trailer from told me they had trouble serving the food fast enough to satisfy their guests. And this is when they would get upset. They would have that one guy that orders, it could be $10 worth of food, it could be $100 worth of food, but the guy doesn't get his food quickly enough, and he makes a big deal about it. And we see this in our groups all the time too. We see a handful of people that will say, cook to order is the way to go. People will wait for good food. And that's not true. People are waiting to get food. They're waiting to get fed because they already gave you money. So yeah, when you hand them a bag of food, they're going to be happy because their body's going, you're about to get fed. And they're not going to complain because they want to eat. But I can tell you without fail, if you force someone to wait 30 minutes the first time they come visit you, they will not put you on their personal schedule as a reliable place to eat. Now, they may come back and see you, but it's only going to be when they have enough time to waste. Because if it takes you 30 minutes, it takes you 40 minutes, even if it takes you 15 minutes, they can't come see you all the time because they won't always have 15 minutes to waste. They won't have 30 minutes to waste. And they certainly won't have 40 minutes to waste. It's all about speed of service. And this is something that restaurants do all the time. It's not just QSR restaurants, you know, quick service or fast food, as people like to put it down. You go to a fine dining restaurant, they're still about table turns. That's how they make money. They don't want you sitting there all night long. They don't care if you're paying $100 a plate. They want you to fed and get the heck out so they can reset that table and sell another $100 plate to somebody. It's all about speed. It's all about table turns. So if you're cooking a hamburger and it's taking you 20 minutes to get it out, you ain't fast enough. And I can say that with conviction because I have sold literally tens of thousands of burgers over the years. 17% of the people that I bought a piece of equipment from or I have worked with to help them with their food business complained about the amount of money they have tied up in inventory. The majority of people, when I ask them, how much food are you buying for an event or for the week? They'll give me a number. And then I'll ask them, how much sales does that number represent? And almost without fail, they have no idea. They just know they're spending $500 on food, and they cross their fingers and hope that they're going to make $2,000, $3,000, whatever that number is. If you're spending $500 in food, and you know I want 4 times cost, that means you should generate at least $2,000 in sales. But I never talk about this when I get in the groups because it's a little bit of a complicated concept. But if you buy $500 worth of food, I know good and well you got food sitting on your truck. You got stuff there that you didn't sell from the last week. Now it could be, basics like mayonnaise or a condiment. It could be, some of the paper products that are not going to go bad, but you still have inventory sitting. So if you buy $500 worth of food, should generate $2,000 worth of sales. And you should not get into any inventory that you have sitting on the truck. So if you have, let's say, $200 worth of inventory sitting on the truck, because that's just what you have to have, because it's impossible to run out of everything. Even though I do see a lot of trucks claim that they do, but I know they got salt, and they got pepper, they got shortening, they've got some condiments, they got some seasonings, they've got a bunch of paper sitting. So no, they're not totally out of their complete inventory, but all of that is money tied up. And the trucks that I was buying their equipment from, were saying, man, I had too much money tied up in inventory. I couldn't turn it over fast enough. And most of the time that was a self-inflicted wound. They didn't do any kind of tracking of their sales mix. And the sales mix is how many hamburgers you sell to cheeseburgers to French fries, all the different sodas. They didn't keep track of that stuff. So they would just sit and go, oh, let's see, I think I'll sell 3 cases of burgers this week. Not thinking about what their projected sales could be, and not thinking about how much they sold last week. I need 3 cases. Can't move or can't turn over the food if you're just guessing. 15% of the people felt like they worked way too hard compared to the amount of money they were making, if they were even making money. Most of the people that sold equipment to me were not making money. And a few of them were not making enough money. They didn't feel like, I work 15 hours a day. Man, I'm tired. It's 110 degrees in there, and I got to sell this because I just can't do it. You can control your schedule. You can control when you're busy and when you're slow. That goes back to marketing. It goes back to giving the deals that people want. But if you're working too hard compared to the profit you're making, 2 things you can do: increase your sales, and then increase or improve your control of your expenses. And then if you're still working too hard, cut back on your hours. Would you rather do 500 in a single hour, or would you rather do 500 in the day? One lady I was working with today, we talked about what the sales could be, and she worked out she could do a $500 hour. So she could handle that much money. It's just a matter, can we get that many people coming to spend $500 an hour, which falls back to marketing. The second reason that most people fail, they don't market. So those are the things that cause people to fail. In my experience, these are people I have talked to and dealt with over the last 30-some years of me buying equipment. Now, how do you not fail? And that's what this is about, coaching. How do you not fail? First thing you got to understand is that business coaching is a legitimate business. It is a legitimate way to make money. But it's also, a lot of people don't realize, there are a bunch of people that have business coaches. And we're not talking about somebody that's, just starting. We're talking about the top of their organizations. Steve Jobs, Oprah, Jack Welch, Bill Gates, Eric Schmidt. Those dudes, when they were at the top of their game, in charge of their companies, had business coaches. What a business coach does is keep you on track. Somebody that you can talk to and vent about, oh my goodness, this guy came up and ordered, $50 order, and I was panicked. And I can talk you through how to handle that the next time it happens. We talk about sales. Why are the sales not up? We talk about speed of service. We talk about the metrics that are important to a successful business. because it's not just you got to cook really good food. That's quality. There's still cleanliness, there's still service, there's still building a community, and then there's still all the number metrics. All those got to be handled. Every single one of those people had a business coach. And a lot of them, like Oprah, still uses the same person to help keep her focused and keep her on task. So the benefits of coaching, in my experience, the average, national average is 37 days. And this comes from the Institute for Justice. They did a survey. 37 days to get permitted. That doesn't count the days that it takes the city, county, or state to actually process the paperwork. This is 37 working days of trying to do permits and chase down whatever has to be done and paying the money and that kind of thing. 37 days. People that work with me, we do it in 21 days, do it in about 3 weeks. And the only hiccup is the state. For example, when I set up to do our most recent trailer, which will be open this weekend, it took us 30 days, and I want to say like 2, maybe 3 more days beyond the 1 month time frame. And that's because of Florida being slow. Back before COVID, rather, Florida was 21 days consistently. I have several permits that I've done over the years, 21 days, and that's all it took. And then COVID, they extended that because now they don't have enough people actually doing the work. But a coach will help you get your permit faster because we get you focused on what you got to do. And we don't waste time going, well, do I need this? Do I not need this? We already know. Higher opening sales. People that work with me leading up to their opening have bigger opening sales, on average about $1,200 for the very first day. People that I work with after they've opened and they're in a panic mode because they're not making any money, we talk about their opening day, they do less than $850. And that's actually being generous. A lot of people were below 500 their opening days. Some of them on purpose, but a lot of them were not on purpose. They thought they were going to do thousands and they did hundreds. You have a lower food cost. The national average on a food truck food cost is 38%. Part of that comes from 3 times cost. This 3 times cost is 33%. You guys have seen me write this. I said it on the podcast, the Blue Million times. That died in 1981. I was an assistant manager working for Rex Restaurants in 1981. A guy came in and wanted to buy a pound of roast beef. I had never sold a pound of roast beef before. We sold sandwiches. I knew how to sell a sandwich, ring it up on the cash register. Had no clue how to price a pound of roast beef. Back then, a pound of roast beef was $1.79. So I call up the store manager and said, I got a guy wanting to buy a pound of roast beef. And he goes, yeah, it's no big deal. I said, okay, well, how do I sell it? And he goes, we have to go up to the open key and ring in 3 times whatever the cost is on our sugar foods invoice. And like I said, it was $1.79. So I had to go multiply it out and go up and charge the guy. So then I call the manager back and says, why is that the goal for our premium product to only sell it at 3 times what it costs us? And he says, well, that's just what I've been taught. And I said, well, you realize that our food cost goal overall is 32%. That was the goal for Rex Restaurants in 1981, 32% food cost. Now, you know what food cost has done since then? Food cost percentages have come down lower and lower and lower. And do you know why? Because the average wage, thanks to all the politicians, keeps going up and up and up. In 1980, we started doing an annual raise every single year. Because Congress passed the law that we're going to raise the minimum wage. So every year, you know what happened on January 1st? The prices went up, which what happens when prices go up, food cost comes down. The reason food costs came down was to match the increase that we were seeing on our labor. So your food cost needs to be under 30%. I would like to see it at 25, but I'll be happy with 30. And there's a world of difference between a 38 and a 30, because that 8% goes directly into your pocket. So please, when someone says 33%, just challenge them. Do you like paying extra money? Do you like not making as much on your profit? Because here's another little dirty secret that a 33% food cost does for you that no one ever talks about. You have a break-even point. The break-even point is a mathematical formula. You can look it up anywhere. Talk about it anytime that I talk about numbers. Food cost is first, break-even point is second. When you run a 33% food cost, your break-even point is higher. It means you need to bring in more guests every day. You need to bring in more sales every day to be able to break even. 25% food cost, it's a lower break-even point number. But no one ever talks about that because they do the nonsense they've read on every other Facebook group, or they'll say that Robert Irvine said 3 times cost. And Robert Irvine is a TV personality, hasn't worked in a restaurant in 20-some years. And he doesn't sell the same kind of food we sell. More profit. People that work with a coach, whether it's me or somebody else, they're going to be focused on numbers. They're going to be focused on bringing sales in. They're going to be focused on controlling the expenses going out. That puts more money into your bank account when you understand your profit. That's why I talk about, again, food cost is the very first thing I talk about. Then I talk about your break-even point and get you to understand how those numbers work together. Because one thing that I do in the break-even point conversations, I get people really, really excited about the potential. Because once you understand what your break-even point is and how many people it takes for you to hit that break-even point, then we start to talk about what if. So you pick somebody that's going to be open 5 hours a day. Their break-even point is, just for simple math, let's say it's $500. Once they go beyond $500, they're on the profit side. That means every single dollar above 500 is profit less what it takes to cook or prepare the food, and then the labor. So the variable cost. Variable cost, let's say it's 40%. So that means every dollar above the 500 is 60-cent profit, 60 cents going into the bank. Once you know that number, then we can translate it into how many people is that. If $500 pays all the bills, and you can actually include yourself in that break-even point, so it pays all the bills and it pays you, how many people is that? If you have a $10 check average, again, just simple math, that means you need 50 people coming to your business every single day. Once you get that 51st person, most of his order is going to be profit. So now we talk about if you're open 5 hours a day, 50 people a day, that's only 10 an hour. 10 an hour means you're waiting on one person every 6 minutes. That is a very, very leisurely pace. That is almost fall asleep leisurely pace. So let's play what if. What if you can just double that and get 20 people an hour? Certainly still a leisurely pace. That's only one order every 3 minutes. Definitely not a rush. So you're taking one order every 3 minutes, you have doubled your sales. And 60% of that, 60 cents on every dollar, becomes profit. So now you get excited. When you see that number multiplied out by the number of days you're open, you get real excited because it goes from being basically chump change to being, oh, this is a real legitimate business. I need to work harder at this. I need to market better. I need to get my speed of service better. That's what a coach does. They help you to get those things better. They keep you focused on what matters. What matters is quality, service, cleanliness, and community. Quality speaks to your food. We talk about food. We'll talk about food cost. We'll talk about what it takes for you to hit the quality and have delicious food. Talk about service. It's got to be fast, got to be friendly. And I will continue to preach this till the day I die. Got to be fast, got to be friendly. 20-minute ticket times are unacceptable because you can't get enough people coming in that have 20 minutes to waste on grandpa cooking a burger. So we talk about all of those things in the coaching, help you to get better with your business. I keep you focused on the numbers, keep you focused on the things that matter. And then continue on with cleanliness. We talk about the measurements of cleanliness, because it's not just having everything sparkling and shiny. It's also organization, because organization impacts your food cost. Rotation, first in, first out. That's part of cleanliness, as well as it is a part of quality. And then we talk about community, which is building up your loyalty. That's part of your community, the loyal guests that are going to come back and see you time and time again. That's part of the community. And then the other part of the community is the civic community, you being a part of what goes on in your neighborhood, in your city, in your county. You can't always be a leech. What a leech is the money's going one way, going towards you. At some point, you've got to contribute back to the community, either in money or in time. I'm going to volunteer and help people that need help. I'm going to make that a part of what my business does. When you're a part of the community, people will recognize you. They will turn to you as a leader. They will turn to you as a business and support you. But if it's all about come spend money with me and you don't give something back, people eventually get tired of that. And then they cease to support you.